but never, never, no, before I let you. Y'all, every black cookout, I promise you, somebody is playing that song, Before I Let Go. Points to the person who can tell me the artist that sang that song. Hey y'all, it's Ashley and I'm back with another video. So today I'm here to do my weekly wrap up. I completely missed my weekly wrap up from last week. I completely skipped it because I kind of didn't film that week. I was super busy at work and I just never got the time to film. So I'm gonna go over the things that I read last week and this week. So let's go ahead and jump in. I don't want this video to be exceptionally long because it's more material and editing. I don't want to have to edit a super long video. The first thing that I read was actually a book that I got for review. It was part of a blog tour, and it was Charlie and Frog the Bony Hand, and this was by Karen Kane. And this was such a phenomenal book in the sense that it was a children's book. I didn't know what to expect because there was a book that came before this. They don't have to be read in order or anything like that. A lot of children's series, I'm gonna say most, a lot of children's series don't necessarily have to be read in order, and this was one of them that didn't have to be read in order. So I really enjoyed it because this was about two main characters, Charlie and Frog, and Charlie actually goes to a school that is designed for the deaf and hard of hearing, and Charlie is a hearing student. So this book incorporated a lot of sign language and basics when it came to signing, and it spoke a lot to deaf culture, and I was so surprised because I learned some phenomenal signs myself just reading the book, because at the beginning of each chapter what you found was that there was a particular word that was emphasized within the chapter, and the chapter picture actually showed you how to make that sign. So I thought that was pretty cool. Really great for parents who are looking for ways to incorporate or teach their kids sign language, and it's a really great way to expose your kids to deaf culture. Or it could also just be a great means of representation if you have children that are deaf or hard of hearing. And I really enjoyed it. I wasn't expecting it to be as engaging. I read it in about 2 days, but I definitely wasn't expecting it to be as mind-blowing as it was, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I ended up giving that one 4 out of 5 stars. I never like to say what I give my, what the ratings are. I suck at that. I genuinely suck at that. The next thing that I read was a book that I read for work, and it is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This was my second time reading it. Actually, like I said, I read this for work for a competition that we have every single year towards the end of the summer, and it's called Book Battle, where we have the kids read a series of different books, and it's separated into 2 categories, children's and teens, and we are responsible as the committee for reading the books and developing the questions for Book Battle. And one of the books that I had this year was The Sun Is Also a Star, and I wanted to reread it because I hadn't read it in so long. And if you didn't know, it is a story about 2 main characters, Natasha and Daniel, and they both live in New York, and they meet by happenstance. It wasn't intentional, and a lot of the book is about what fate and destiny plays in our lives, and it is a romance that takes place over the course of one day. To me, every time I read it, it doesn't feel like it's over the course of one day. I think Nicola Yoon does a brilliant job just writing it in a manner in which it doesn't feel like it's over the course of one day. But this second time me reading it, I wasn't as enthralled as I was with it the first time. I really appreciated the story of the cultural aspects between Tasha being Jamaican, having Jamaican roots, and then Daniel having Korean roots. But there were certain scenes in this book that were kind of they just dragged. They weren't good at all. And I ended up, when I first read it, I gave it 5 stars. But this time when I read it, I only ended up giving it 4 stars. Because there was a particular scene when they were on the rooftop, and it was just so it wasn't cringeworthy, but I was just I was super bored reading it. So I was nah, I'm not really interested. The second 2 things that I read are part of a blog tour that I was a part of, and I got sent these for review by the publisher. The first is A for Elizabeth, and the second is Big Mouth Elizabeth, and these are by Rachel Vale, and they tell the story of a 2nd grade girl who has random trials and tribulations. They're really, really short. They're 117 pages each, but I mean, these are kids' books, so the text is really, really spaced out. And Elizabeth has different issues depending upon what story you're looking at. In A is for Elizabeth, she has issues spelling, but she learns to kind of stand up for what she believes in. And in Big Mouth, Elizabeth, she learns a lot about what it means to fit into a group and how to stand up for other people. So I really enjoy these. I read these both in one setting at the same time, and I ended up giving them both 4 out of 5 stars each, because I thought they were really good transitional texts. If you have a child that is moving from picture books slowly into chapter books, these are really, really good because they still contain pictures, which is a really good element for kids who are doing more of the transitional period between going from picture books to chapter books. Is still good to incorporate that picture book element, and these definitely do that. And they have chapters, but they're super short chapters just to hold the attention and give the feeling that that child is actually reading a chapter book and that they're not just reading just, you know, a straightforward book. It just gives that essence of them reading something more difficult. So like I said, I did give these 4 out of 5 stars, and I have a full review of these two on my blog, so I will link them down below. Same thing with Charlie and Frog the Bony Hand. I have a full review of those two on my channel. I mean, not on my channel, on my blog, and I'll link that one down below as well. And I have a review of this one. I have a lot of reviews of this stuff, so I have a review of The Sun Is Also a Star as well, and I will link that down below. The next thing that I read is The Death by Cody Keplinger, and I'm not going to go a lot into this because I actually just filmed a like 20-something minute review on this book. This was a reread for me. I originally read this book back in 2014, so about 5 years ago, and I thought that I really enjoyed it, but apparently not so much. It's been 5 years. A lot has changed. I've grown. I've been through a lot more life experiences, and that really did shape my perception of this book going in the second time around. So I only ended up giving it 2 stars as opposed to 5 stars. And this is not tabbed so much on the top and on the sides because I loved it. This is tabbed a lot because I had a lot of issues with it. A lot of issues with the main character and her self-esteem. The pink tabs are for every time the male lead character calls the female lead character a duff, which is a designated ugly fat friend. It was just such a problematic book. They use sex as a means to cope. I just did not enjoy it, but I'm not going to spoil that because like I said, I did do a full review, and that review will be going up this week. So if you want to know my in-depth thoughts where I actually take time to read quotes from the book, definitely look for that this upcoming week. After that, I read Ice Cream Man Volume 2, and this was by W. Maxwell Prince. I gave this one 3 stars. I read the first volume of Ice Cream Man last year, I believe, either last year or earlier this year, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. And I thought it was such a creepy and horrifying but phenomenal comic book. And they're like told in short stories, but they're somehow connected to this ice cream man who I think is a demon. This one continued with the short story kind of idea from the first volume, and they were good, but I only gave it 3 stars. I gave the first volume 4 stars. I only gave this one 3 stars because I still don't understand the relationship of the ice cream man to this entire world. Like, something about it is not being explained fully. I do already have the 3rd volume of it checked out on Hoopla, so I'm gonna go ahead and read that one. But if you're looking for like a darker, scary type comic book, I definitely would recommend this one. And the last thing that I read was Book Boyfriend by Claire Kingsley. I also gave this one 3 stars. I actually heard Julie from Julie's Pens and Pages, something along those lines. I heard her talking about this during her May wrap up. She said she found it on Hoopla, and I was looking for another romance audiobook to listen to, and I checked this one out. It was only 6 hours long. I flew through it. I listened to it in a few days, and it was so good. If you guys are looking for like the perfect book boyfriend, this guy is amazing. He actually writes romance books, but he writes under a pseudonym, and he meets this lady, and they ended up getting into this relationship until he finds out that she is one of the book bloggers that he's in contact with that does reviews for him, and it creates a very awkward situation. But it's so cute, like certain things that he would do that I was like, oh, I was like, oh my gosh, like I wish this could possibly happen. Like I go into a bookstore and a guy's like, let me buy your books. That's how you know like I'm a book nerd, that I'm like, I would rather you buy my books instead of buying me a drink. That's how weird I am, but it's true. Like I would rather someone take me out and buy me books than buy me a drink. That's me all the way. I'm just that person. So I really did. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just wish there was more. It seemed like she forgave him a little too quickly and he didn't do enough groveling for my sake, because he did lie to her for such a long period of time. And I just wish it was a longer book, and that it had a little bit more depth to it. But it's the first part in a trilogy, and I think they're more like companion books, because the second book I know is characters from the first book. So I'm really intrigued to see if this book theme is carried in the second and third book. I don't know if it necessarily is, but I'm interested in seeing if it is. And I think I already have the second book checked out on Hoopla, so looking forward to reading that one. And the smutty scenes in this book literally had me, like I was listening to it out loud on my phone yesterday when I was cleaning up, and I'm like, I think I was cleaning the bathroom, and like I paused because I was like, whoa, okay, like I mean, all right, like it it was, I was like, oh my goodness gracious. The smut scenes were so good. So I'm looking forward to reading the second one, if not for the actual content of the book, then for the smut scenes. And I'm not sure what that says about me, but they were really well written and I thoroughly enjoyed it. All right, y'all, so that's what I read in the past 2 weeks. Not super a lot, but a decent amount for work being so busy. And also I am pregnant, so I'm tired all the time now, so I don't get much reading done. But there are a couple of things that I am reading. The two things that I'm going to focus in on over the course of this next week that I really want to finish up, because I sucked at reading even my top 6 TBR this month, but I really want to finish up The Titan's Curse, which is the 3rd book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. And I want to finish up my reread of City of Bones, which is the 1st book in the Mortal Instrument series. These are 2 that were in my top 6. I've only read 1 from my top 6 TBR, and I at least need to make it through these 2 to say I completed half of my top 6 TBR. I'm also listening to a couple of things. One that I just started this morning that I'm almost an hour into, and it's only 6 hours, is What Happens in Vegas by Shane and Gray. This is another just quick romance. It's about this group of women who've been friends since college. They go to Vegas, and one of the main characters meets a guy who actually, I think he is a professional casino player. I don't know. Something along those lines. And, you know, romance ensues. So nothing like super crazy there. And then I picked out another romance book. This romance book is, I didn't realize it was 25 hours long, because the paperback version of the book is over 600 pages. And it's The Gamble by Kristen Ashley, and it's the first in her Colorado Mountain series. I think that's what it's called. It's like 7 or 8 books, and they're all super chunky. But it's right now, it's about a lady who was engaged, or she is engaged. And she's from America, but I think she spent significant time in England. She goes to Colorado to take some space, and her fiance just doesn't care, which is warning sign number 1. And she ends up meeting this guy named Max, and Max owns a house that she supposedly was supposed to be staying in on her vacation, and somehow some miscommunication occurred, and there is supposed to be some romance that develops between them, but then there's something about Max that's not supposed to be right. So I'm just going to keep listening to that one to figure it out. I think last night I listened to about 2 hours of it, so I think that'll be the one that I'll listen to before I go to bed. So I'm expecting probably to finish just What Happens in Vegas this week. I highly doubt I'll finish The Gamble. The Gamble I probably will take until next month. So I'm thinking about like top 3 reads. Top audiobook would be What Happens in Vegas, and then my top physical reads will be these 2, and then I may just have to carry everything else over into the month of July, because I suck at TBRs. I just a sucky person. Sound like Heidi Lauren off of The Hills. He's a sucky person, Heidi. He's a sucky person. I've been watching reruns because the new beginnings starts tomorrow, which I'm not gonna admit that I'm watching. I'm not gonna admit to that. So y'all, that is it. If you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you wanna see more content from me, make sure you click the subscribe button. If you're interested in following me on social media, all of my links will be down in the description box, as well as those reviews that I mentioned earlier in the video. Let me know what you completed so far this week and maybe last week, since I didn't update with a video. And I'll be back with another video soon. Bye.